Back with Judge Melissa Saragosa. Now, I was surprised to learn, I alluded to it with Councilman Steve Ross, about your background. I didn't know you had a very extensive military background.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That was my first job out of law school, in fact. I was an active duty judge advocate general with the Air Force.
And so why did you decide to go into that? I mean, most people graduate law school, they have, some loans, they want to go make some money and pay off those loans. Why was it different for you?
Well, it wasn't any different. I had loans and, and I wanted to pay them off too. But what was different for me is the time. When I graduated from law school in '93, the market wasn't the best at that time. A lot of large firms were laying people off. I really wanted to litigate. That was my passion. I did mock trial through law school, wanted to be in the courtroom. And the government jobs had hiring freezes, so I was looking for other opportunities, and the military opportunity was just there, and it was fascinating. I was intrigued by it. Went through the process and was selected and began my active duty in March 21st, 22 years ago, 1994.
And you seem to me like the whole athletic part of that.
Well, I've been an athlete. I was a track runner in high school, so I try to stay fit, although it's sometimes more difficult than others.
So as an attorney going into the military, you have a different type of job, basically, right? I mean, you have to go through all the basic training and all that, but then once you finish all that, now you're in a different position.
Right.
Did you like it?
I loved it. You do the military training as well, so you have, just your officership, learning how to, be an officer in the military and how to command. And so we have different levels of training that we're required to go through. Squadron Officer School is the beginning. We have Air Command and Staff College and Air War College, which are both considered master's degree courses, which I've done and graduated through both of those. But you take courses pursuant to your rank, and you also learn about military issues. You'd be surprised how many different types of areas of law the military touches upon. Environmental, labor law, with all of the civilian employees that work on the various installation spaces and whatnot. We deal with claims issues involving medical malpractice, tort litigation, plus the military justice, the criminal law.
It's little cities, essentially, right? But what do you see? I mean, because the military law is a little bit more restrictive, I would say, than just our general laws, right? So did you find that confining as an attorney?
No. In terms of military justice, that was the majority of my background. I did work in the other areas, but I really tried to focus on. I became a senior trial counsel at my second job, my second assignment in the military. And we follow the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Well, it's not that much different than your regular criminal code. It has some unique military offenses, desertion, AWOL, things like that. But for the most part, rules of evidence, military rules of evidence come from the federal rules, very similar to what we have in Nevada, which is also derived from the federal rules. So not really that much different. When you're in the courtroom, litigation is litigation.
And you were in various different courtrooms, I assume, traveling from one base to the next.
Yes.
I mean, they move you around a lot, right?
Yes, and especially as a senior trial counsel position, you work at a single base. I was at Travis Air Force Base in Northern California. We traveled from base to base. We were the senior counsel that came in to Nellis, to Luke Air Force Base, to Vandenberg Air Force Base, wherever we were for an assigned case. You'd come in, you'd handle that case, and you'd leave. Sometimes back to Travis, sometimes to another base to handle the next case.
And you had children at that time?
Not then.
Not at that time. Okay. But, it always surprises me how well children do seem to adapt in the military life with not really having, a permanent home.
I agree. It can be really difficult, but I am impressed by my kids' resilience and adaptation all the time. My kid's father is also a military reservist and has dedicated his life. So he was deployed for many times. He's been deployed to Qatar, to various places, to Iraq for periods of times, 6 months. And he wouldn't see the kids, and the kids wouldn't see him. And they are resilient, and they carry on. It's fine. When he gets back, all returns to normal.
So then you ended up in Las Vegas.
Yes, Nellis brought us here.
At Nellis. We all love Nellis.
Yes.
I sound like Donald Trump when I said that. We love Nellis. And then you decided to, were you in private practice for a while? And then you
I left active duty in 1999. I went to Italy. I lived in Italy for 14 months and worked over there as a military reservist. And then I came to Nellis when my now ex-husband was assigned at Nellis. So we came here, and this is where we settled, and we raised our kids. We had 3 children here.
And what about being a justice of the peace?
That came
was
later.
Enticing to you?
Well, when I was little, my father was a private investigator, and he worked in and around the court system. So he would take me in, introduce me to lawyers, judges. It was intriguing to me. I always wanted to go into law ever since I was a little girl, and I just kind of followed that track. When I came here to Las Vegas, I began working in the district attorney's office. So I was a prosecutor at the time. I started in their appellate unit, moved up to where I was the chief of their training and recruiting division. And then I wanted to take the bench. I wanted to take it to the next level, to give back to the community in a different way. And I applied for an appointment. I got the appointment now 9.5 years ago, I guess, almost. And I've been on the bench for 9 years, and I really love it.
Now, you do have an election coming up this year. What is your experience in having to campaign and be out there? I mean, how has that changed you?
Well, I don't know that it's changed me, but it's definitely changed my schedule. I've run twice unopposed, so this is my first contested election. I've been on the bench for 9 years now, and it's changed in a sense of, I guess there's just a lot more that you are active in. I try to be active in the community as much as possible throughout the year. Whether I'm running for re-election or not, it's important for me to be involved in the community. But I do have 3 kids. They're 14, 12, and 11. They're very active in their lives. I am a single mom. So, the campaign definitely takes away some of the time that I would be with my kids, but it's important. My kids understand, and like you said, they are so resilient that it's not an issue for us.
The type of cases that one hears in justice court, I think it's rather confusing. I was watching a TV show the other day, and somebody in my family was asking me about a grand jury indictment and what it really means. And I was trying to explain that to them, as well as the alternative path of going through a preliminary hearing in a criminal case. Can you kind of explain what it is that justice court judges really do?
Absolutely. Yeah. So at the justice court level, we have 2 divisions. We have our criminal division and our civil division. The criminal division, we deal with any individual who is arrested or cited for a criminal offense. We are their first introduction into the legal system.
And it would include felonies as well as misdemeanors.
Absolutely, it does. They come before us. Every single arrest that is made, a justice court judge is doing a probable cause review to make sure that that arrest was based on proper evidence. After that, we're responsible for setting bail for all the criminal offenses. Those that have bond out, those that don't, we set the bail. Whether it's for a felony offense, a misdemeanor, we set those bails. Then they come before us for either an arraignment for a misdemeanor offense, where they enter a plea, or their initial appearance if it's a felony or gross misdemeanor. Each one of those, if it's a misdemeanor, it's going to be set for trial in front of us. The trial will happen, or it negotiates. We sentence them, and then we monitor their progress on their sentencing requirements. For those felonies and gross misdemeanors, those cases will come before us for a preliminary hearing. Sometimes they resolve and they waive that preliminary hearing and we send the case up to district court, or we have a hearing before us and find sufficient evidence and we bind that case over to district court.
And so the purpose of a preliminary hearing is to make a determination whether there's enough evidence, whether this person could have committed that crime, whether a crime was committed. If you find that, then it goes up to district court, and that would be a felony case, and then murder cases, things like that, and then it gets tried in district court.
That's correct.
That whole thing gets avoided if the district attorney decides to proceed with a grand jury. Their function is to establish whether there is sufficient evidence and whether this person could have committed that crime as well. But it's not really, it's a one-sided hearing, and it's not really as thorough as what one goes through in a preliminary hearing, and the district attorney makes that call, right?
That's right. There's no cross-examination of the witnesses that appear before a grand jury.
Right. And
there are no defense counsel present.
Right. And it seems like, look, I've been doing this for almost 40 years, and I can remember when I first came here, we had 7 district court judges, had? I think we had, I don't know, maybe 4 Justice Court
right.
judges. How many Justice Court judges do we have now?
14.
14, okay. So now everybody has become, we have niches and specialties, and it keeps evolving because now we have all kinds of drug courts, and you were telling me we have a veteran court?
Yes, Veterans Treatment Court, we do, and I'm presiding over that now.
And how does that work?
So cases that come through the system where there is a veteran, the idea behind this court is that we identify veterans who, because of what they've given in terms of their military service, have come out of the military and either have a difficulty transitioning from the military situation or life to that civilian life, or they, because of their military service, have suffered traumatic brain injury or post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, other mental illnesses or mental health issues that result in them having a difficulty in that civilian life. Many times that results in them getting into the criminal justice system. And when they do, we try to give back to them by connecting them with services. There are agencies throughout our valley that are helpful to veterans in vocational training, getting their education level up, helping them use their GI benefits, helping them find a job. We also connect them with treatment, which is the biggest part of this court. It's connecting them with the benefits that they've earned through the VA, through the vet centers in town, and helping them to deal with their issues.
Does this normally occur after somebody is arrested?
Yes.
So
they'll be part of the criminal justice system before they would be eligible to even come into the Veterans Treatment Court.
Is it a way to treat and deal with somebody instead of them getting a criminal record and not being able to get a job and then being penalized the rest of their life?
That's correct. Or keeping them out of jail. I mean, many of these offenses, sometimes they're violent offenses and they are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And I will tell you that most of the participants in my program, when they have post-traumatic stress disorder, have coexisting substance abuse issues, because it is very common for someone to try to self-medicate those issues away instead of getting the right treatment. So we put them in connection with the right treatment, keep them out of jail, in many cases keep their record clean, and return them to our community as productive members of society and put them back in that place where they're proud of themselves again as they were when they were a military member.
You know, every political candidate in every party is always talking about, hey, we have to do more for the vets. We got to do more for our veterans. We got to, put more money. We got to fix the VA hospitals. We have to do more treatment, et cetera, et cetera. Seems to me like nothing much really gets done. With your background and your experience, and you've seen this from every side possible.
Right.
Okay, if you had just a paintbrush to create a new canvas on how this would work for military vets coming out of service, what changes would you make?
I think the biggest change is identifying the issues that a veteran might have at the time that they are separating, retiring, resigning their commission, whatever it is, whenever they are leaving the active duty force. That's the time that there needs to be some sort of intervention. There needs to be some sort of assessment. What can we do for this military member to make this transition easier? And they do have programs, they have training programs, they have transitional, I shouldn't even say they're programs, they're really, I don't know, briefings. You get a briefing when you leave the military on transition. Maybe how to make a resume. They can do things like that. But most people don't expect that they're going to have the problems that they do when they leave the military. And once they're out, the active duty doors generally close to them. If they only served a 6-year enlistment, they don't have retirement benefits. They have very limited benefits to even access the base facility. They're no longer serving and they're not retired. So their limits are with the VA. And I think needs to be a better, smoother transition between the active duty and once they are in that civilian life.
Well, we need to, obviously pay more attention to it and get more people involved that have the kind of background that you have, Judge. So thank you very much, Judge Melissa Saragosa.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great background. You have a wonderful background. It was really nice meeting you.
You too.
See you people next week. Whether you're on the road, watching television, surfing the web, or on the go, with our new app, wherever you are, we'll be there to help.
Enough said. Call Ed.